Hi, I'm Ryan Greenspan from Team Dynasty, and the question that we get asked the most is how to become a better paintball player. So, we decided it was about time to take our very successful clinic and package it into a DVD just for you. And here we are at Hollywood Sports Park in beautiful Southern California to reveal some of the secrets behind our success. So get out a pen and paper and take notes, because here we go.
Squires from Team Dynasty. Before we get started, we're making a very important stop at Warp Sports Los Angeles. We're going to go over proper marker setup and necessary safety equipment. Now there's 5 basic components to your marker. The first one is the air source. That's what powers the marker. The second is the marker body itself, which projects the paintball. The third is your loader. That's where you're going to store your paintballs. The fourth is the barrel, which provides precision accuracy. Now the fifth and most important part of your marker is your barrel bag. This is a mandatory safety device. It's required to cover your barrel and be securely fastened to your marker. This barrel bag is not to be removed until a referee tells you to remove it prior to the start of your game. Having your marker set up properly will be important while utilizing all the skills and techniques taught throughout this DVD. Here's a quick and easy way to see if your marker is set up correctly for you. While holding your marker in your hand, bend your elbow at a 90-degree angle. If the back of the bottle meets the break of your arm, your marker is set up correctly for you. Avoid using a drop forward. There are many bottles today that will give you the optional lengths you need to find the perfect fit. Now we're going to get into safety equipment. There's only one mandatory piece of safety equipment within the sport of paintball. That's your goggle system. This protects your eyes. This is never to be removed while playing the sport of paintball. Some features to look for in a good goggle system are full face protection, proper ear protection, and a chin strap. Some other items to consider are gloves, knee pads, and elbow pads. Now let's get out to the field and see what the rest of the guys are doing.
Now that your marker is set up properly, we're going to take a look at the individual skills that help define every great paintball player. These skills and techniques are essential for all pro paintball players to have and to understand. We're going to start with the cornerstone of paintball, accuracy.
Being an accurate shot is the first skill you must develop in becoming a good player.
Accuracy is one of the many skills that allow great players to do amazing things.
Before drilling for accuracy, you must remember how to properly hold your marker.
With a properly set up marker, simply attach your nose to the back of your marker. Imagine a line that extends from your nose through the marker and out the barrel. This will center your marker between your eyes. If you fail to do this, you will start leading with your marker, which means your opponent will see your marker before you can see your opponent, giving him all the advantages.
There's only one thing that will help you better develop your accuracy. Practice, practice, practice. The drill I'm about to show you will help you develop your accuracy from a prone position as well as from a moving one.
Setting up an obstacle course is the best way to help you develop your accuracy. Soda bottles, soup cans, and milk containers are the best and easiest objects to find. Start with 4 objects. Place the first object about 20 yards away from your starting point. Set up your remaining objects in various locations down the field. You also need to assign field positions that need to be taken in order to shoot the targets. Some of the target objects can be put in locations that require you to bunker them out. This drill will help you with your accuracy during any possible situation of gameplay.
You must hit the first target object with one shot from the starting position. From there you can move on down the field. Try to shoot each target with one ball as you proceed, but don't move on until you've hit your target. The point of this drill is accuracy, not volume. Walk your first time through the obstacle course. Pick up the pace as you become more familiar with the course layout. As you improve your accuracy, you can start to use smaller objects.
Snap shooting is a key fundamental in tournament paintball. Snap shooting in its truest form is the ability to quickly and effectively snap out from behind your bunker, take 1 or 2 shots in the open, come back into your bunker safely without getting shot.
Let's start with the importance of proper form in your stance. Too many players choose to kneel down, even when in situations they could effectively play on their feet.
When I'm on my knees, my head is virtually at the same height that it is when I'm on my feet.
This standing position gives me a better center of gravity for balance and movement. Notice how my upper body is one solid piece, including my marker. Shoulders square with my opponent and knees bent. This is the proper stance. Your legs are much stronger than your arms or upper body, so let them do all the work. Notice how my marker aim stays straight. I never have to reposition my marker. I use my legs to make all the adjustments. Not to mention, I'm in a better position to quickly take advantage of any window of opportunity that might allow me to take a better spot during an actual game.
A drill we use to improve snap shooting as well as timing is to take a target object like a paint box or a cone and place it beside a bunker. You can be standing or in the kneeling position. You should be about 15 yards away and you should shoot the target object using the 1-ball check-in rule. This means you must check yourself in each time you take a shot. You'll be amazed at how many times you miss the target object. This is where patience comes into play. The most important thing is to remember to breathe, take your time, and hit the target object.
Now you and your teammates are ready to face off in a true snap shooting drill. To start the drill, you and your opponent should take standing positions at similar bunkers about 10 to 15 yards away from each other. You can only use the 1-ball check-in rule. However, there's an added twist. You decide when to take that shot. You can post up as long as you need to, but once you take your one shot, you must check back in.
An element that may be added to this drill to simulate a real game situation is to run to your bunkers first.
This means that your heart will be pounding and you will need to rely on the conditioning these drills provide to take over. When you eliminate your opponent, end the drill and start again. You can cycle in your entire team, winner stays on.
One more thing to consider is your loader and body awareness. The shape of your bunker will give you a clear guideline to work with. You want to keep the smallest profile possible at all times. Stay in control of your elbows and your loader. The skill of snap shooting can be used from any position on the field and at any point of the game. In order to become a great snap shooter, it simply comes down to as much practice as you put into it. The best part about these drills is you don't have to consume that much paint in order to get the most out of them.
Running and shooting is a skill we picked up early on in our professional paintball career.
This skill is extremely important for back, mid, and front players.
This skill, running and shooting, is one of several games and a couple tournaments.
In some extreme situations, we have found that the easiest way to eliminate an opposing front player is to have our own front player shoot them as they run to the same 50-yard line bunker. We call this jousting.
When we practice a jousting drill, we generally run a one-on-one. Each player must run to a designated 40-yard line bunker, the same one for each jouster. Both players will run with their marker up and firing, attempting to eliminate each other before they reach their bunker.
Another drill we use for running and shooting is called 4 corners. Split your team into 2 groups and take opposing corners across the field. One at a time, send a player down the length of the field shooting at the opposing player that's doing the same back. Do not slow down. Keep a steady pace, and it doesn't matter how many times you get hit, just keep running and shooting until you get to the other side of the field.
The ability to run and shoot is a skill not only used off the rake, but throughout the entire game, as we move downfield from bunker to bunker.
Posting up and wrapping are key elements to your all-around game.
These skills require patience and field awareness.
Posting up gives you the ability to control your opponent's position. Posting, when done correctly, can allow you a lot of freedom from your position on the field. When posting up on an opponent, you usually have engaged in some form of snap shooting contest and now have the dominant position of being out and in control.
You now have a few options to work with.
You can continue to blast away, containing your opponent, or you can wait and try to bait him out now that you have the advantage. Continuing to physically control your opponent will give you another opportunity, which is called wrapping. Once you have contained your opponent by posting up on him, you've now created an opening from which you can wrap. Wrapping will often allow you to create new angles in your opponent's positions across the field.
Wrapping is typically done from the tape line positions.
From here, you will only have to worry about controlling the opponents in front of you to safely wrap. Containing your opponent will also allow you or another teammate to move up safely.
Posting up visually requires a degree of accuracy and patience. You are essentially tricking your opponent into believing that you're looking elsewhere. When your opponent realizes you have stopped shooting at him, he will eventually expose himself to take back the advantage of posting up on you. So be patient and wait for the shot to present itself.
Bunkering is a very useful skill, not to mention it's extremely exciting and very fun.
Confidence and experience plays a major role in bunkering somebody properly.
There are many different ways to perform a bunker move.
Now that you've improved your overall game as an individual player, it's time to start working as a team. In this chapter, we will focus on the skills and techniques used in a team setting. And there is no better place to start than with walking the fields.
There are many different ways to win a paintball game. Most have to do with strategy and others with practice.
First off, we're going to go over how to organize a good game plan by walking the field. This is the key to winning against even the toughest competition anytime, anywhere.
Take into account a novice team can beat any pro team on any day, as long as they have a solid game plan established. Our team starts out by standing together with the infamous whiteboard to draw out the field. This then leads to some expected bickering and clashing ideas. However, the majority of the time we end up manipulating a solid game plan. There's so many variables to look out for on a field, so we have sectioned off everything into 3 main categories. Category 1, general field positioning. Once you've drawn out the field, you first need to place your back line. These are often very obvious positions, usually the back center, back left, and back right. The center player also needs to be quick on his feet because he is the player who fills in behind the mid and front players as they start moving down the field or get shot out, whatever comes first. The 2 tape players act more as anchors. They don't move unless they really have to.
You never want to give up a tape position for 3 reasons. 1, these players have the ability to control your opponent's use of the tape line against you. 2, they have the ability to effectively wrap, keeping your opponents off balance. And 3, these players are in the best possible defensive position to zone up should anything go wrong.
It would make sense to position your players from the backfield to the midfield and from the midfield to the front, but that's not the case. Your mid players cannot be positioned effectively until you have placed your front players. Mid players fill the gaps left between the front line and the back line. Front spots are often directly on the 50-yard line or just behind it. Usually, these spots offer the best zones to prevent your opponents from making secondary moves. And like the back spots, they are usually very obvious, like the snake. Not only do you have to place your front players, you also have to figure out how they are going to get there. But this will be covered in a later chapter.
When walking a field, it's important to keep in mind where you're going to place your front players and where you're going to place your sweet spotters to counter this. More than likely, your opponent is going to take the same spots you are thinking of taking. And if you have an idea about how they're going to get there, you may be able to prevent them from doing so. That's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You picked out a good front spot to go to and pick both good running and sweet spotting lanes at the same time.
Now that you have placed your front and back players, gaps throughout the field start to appear, and a game plan begins to form. Now it's time to insert mid players to fill these gaps. This leaves you with the task of filling the gaps by placing players in the midfield. These are the most important spots on the field. These are the positions with the most responsibility as well as flexibility. Mid players have to be familiar with everybody else's position on the field in case one of them doesn't make it to their spot.
Now that you know how to divide the field up and find player positions, the next thing to establish is the actual field strategy, identifying zones.
Many teams don't even reach this level of play. Where these teams fail is they don't plan out every detail of each player's responsibilities.
Novice teams only look at their first and maybe secondary bunkers, which is not enough. There's a lot more in professional paintball than just that. To step your team's game up to the next level, you have to be able to identify the zones. To see the zones that I'm talking about, you're going to have to put in some serious hours into walking the fields. Spend a lot of the time looking at the bunkers you're going to go to. Based on your own game plan, you should be able to predict what your opponents are going to try to do against you. This will clearly define what the primary zones on the field will be. While determining which zones to lock down, remember that it's a network of shooting lanes designed to contain your opponents as well as to protect your own teammates down the field.
The best way to approach the art of zoning is to break the process up into these simple steps, all of which are equally important. First, as this is a major part of the field walk, you will start out by drawing a map of the field, labeling where each of your primary positions are, front, mid, and back. Second, you will need to identify which of your opponent's positions are most important. Use your own field positioning to help you determine this. The third step is to map out individual shooting lanes from each player's primary position, which will allow you to delegate who is responsible for watching each zone.
Remember, as the game progresses, don't be afraid to move to a position that will allow you to lock down a zone or protect a teammate. The game will almost never play out exactly the way you expect. There are too many variables, which means zones will often change throughout the course of a game. This means you have to be flexible. It's important to pay attention to which way your teammates are shooting, so you can play off them by shooting a different zone, instead of being redundant, which often leaves windows of opportunity open for your opponent.
The entire team must have an unselfish attitude. Trust is the most important element to success of this technique. To execute a game plan efficiently, teammates must always be comfortable knowing that they are being watched over and taken care of by their other teammates. This is something that comes with time. Zone protection will develop with practice and experience.
Now that you have found your positions and identified the zones, it's time to plan out a course of action using all the information gathered during the field walk. Where we go on the break is an important factor in the success of our team. On a standard airball field, we look at what we feel are the most important spots on the field, and we try to stop our opponents from getting there. We start with 3 or sometimes 4 players in the back center to sweet spot the predetermined lanes the other team's front players will most likely run through. Next, our field walk determines which side of the field is more important, the left or the right, which side has a key 50-yard line bunker, like a snake or a Dorito, and we put an effort into securing that side of the field first. We do this by finding out what would be the quickest and easiest way to get from point A to point B, which is not always a straight line. At the same time, we position a mid player nearby, locking down a zone to stop the other team's front players from getting there first. This mid player also protects our front player and is also in a position to take that important front bunker if we lose our front guy off the break. We then move the other mid players from the back line off the break into a midline spot, while concentrating more of our firepower on the predetermined zones to stop the opposing push. After we get situated, we then settle into the rhythm of the game. All the moves from the breakout to the midline bump should only take about 30 to 45 seconds. The more times you move around, the more it confuses your opponent. Not even Dynasty can predict the outcome of a game, but once we have executed our breakout and taken these key spots, we pretty much own the field. This is when we start picking off the other team one by one as they come through our sophisticated zoning network in an attempt to take their secondary positions.
Holding a zone is essentially controlling or containing anything that happens in a specific field of view.
Your team's ability to hold these zones is key to winning any game.
You'll need to identify these zones in your pregame field walk. In your pregame field walk, you've determined what your opponent's secondary positions will likely be, as well as any important 50-yard line bunkers they might go for. You've now set up zones for your team to hold and control. Once your opponents make their primary positions, your job will be to post up and hold the zone by physically containing any of your opponent's further movements. This often requires more patience than the average player has to offer. How many times have you gotten bored waiting for an opponent to either expose himself or move? only to look the other way for another shot, then to come back and find out your opponent has moved through your zone safely. Don't let this happen to you.
Watch your zone and do your job. Here are some likely issues that will arise while you're trying to hold your zone. Your opponent has a job to do, so he'll eventually engage you in a snap shooting contest. If he overpowers you, he will make his move. If this is happening and you feel your opponent is going to move, you can simply readjust yourself behind your bunker and post up on the position he will move to. At this point, your opponent will believe it's safe to move. Remember to start shooting immediately, as you won't be able to see him make his move. This technique can also be used to bait your opponent into moving through your zone.
Another issue is paint consumption. At some point you will have to reload, and this will give your opponent a window of opportunity to move through. If this happens, you have two options. You can slow your rate of fire and attempt to load as you one-ball your opponent's position, or you can ask another teammate to hold your zone as you reload. Asking your teammate for help is the best option. Continue to keep up the pressure and force your opponent to change his game plan or make a mistake.
One of the main differences that separate the good teams from the great teams is their dedication to excel in every aspect of the game.
In paintball, games can be won by individuals, but tournaments are won based on a level of teamwork.
The aspect we're going to focus on now is good communication.
Every player on the field has a different perspective of what's happening during the game. Front players generally have their noses in the dirt and are stuck in smaller, tighter spots with a limited field of view. On the contrary, back players are usually in nice stand-up bunkers on their feet with a clear view of everything that's happening on the field. So, in order for the best split-second decisions to be made, it is extremely important to convey all perspectives across the field.
The communicative role of the back player is not only to relay what he sees, but to ask the front player what he needs to get his job done effectively. Pro-level front and mid players move on split-second decisions based on information seen and heard. So the more information you and your teammates receive, the more productive your decision-making process will be. It is typical to think that back players are responsible for all communication on the field. This is only somewhat correct. Back players are responsible for answering all the questions the front and mid players demand. In turn, to be an effective front or mid player, it is important to tell the back players specifically what you need to know and what they need to do in order to help you do your job effectively.
Now that we've realized the why, we can begin to understand the how and the what. Every team should have a system of codes to relay information to each other as quickly as possible. Codes are used not so much to keep the information secret, but more to convey more information while saying less. We use G's to express the number of opposing players eliminated, and balls represent the number of Dynasty players eliminated. The code mirror means there is an opposing player in your bunker on the opposite side of the field. We use poison to let our players know that there is somebody on the other side of their bunker. In addition to your codes, other things that the back and mid players need to constantly be communicating across the field are the bunkers that the opposing players still occupy. By making an effort to constantly repeat information, you ensure that the whole team will be conscious of all the important factors of the game.
Despite all the emphasis we put on holding zones, movement is how we win games.
Movement opens up new angles and new opportunities to beat your opponent.
Making moves on the field can be done in numerous ways. You can make a spur-of-the-moment move off of instinct. You can make a self-forced move where you use your own gun to lay suppressing fire. Or you can make a coordinated move where 2 or more members of your team are involved.
The planned or coordinated move is the most assuring, but the most difficult to execute. By using coordinated support and movement, you force the issue and create a situation where the possibility of successfully completing the move is very good. The idea is to have 1 or more of your teammates suppress and contain the opponents that represent an immediate threat to you and your move. You can ask your teammate to suppress the threat, which means to firefight with the opponent until they are contained or unable to cover the zone that you want to move through. That is when you are clear to go. These coordinated movements can be predetermined by you and your teammates while walking the field before the game. As you gain experience, you will find these situations present themselves in almost every game. You will find more complex and effective ways of completing coordinated moves.
A self-forced move is when you have to control your opponent without the help of your teammates. Often, towards the end of a game, you will find yourself in a situation where you have to move without the help of your teammates. It is easy enough to keep track of and contain opponents in your immediate field of view. However, it's the opponents that you can't see that represent the real threat. If you are going to move on your own, you need to contain the opponents that you see and pull your gun across field to contain your new opponent before making your move. Accuracy and awareness play a big part in these types of movement.
Oftentimes, windows of opportunity present themselves, and your opponents seem to be doing something other than playing paintball. These windows are never open for very long, so it's your instincts that are going to guide you to your next position. If one of these windows were to open, you'd have a split second to take advantage of it.
Here is an aggressive drill used to practice coordinated and self-forced moves. This is a 2-on-2 drill. Using one side of the field, place a flag on a 50-yard line bunker. The object of this drill is to get to that flag and simply touch it to win the game. Start at your 20-yard line and move forward using coordinated support and self-forced movement.
Here's another drill you can use to practice coordinated movement. This is a 2-on-1 drill. Set up in your bunkers across field. The objective is for the team of 2 to obtain a certain field position, such as a 50-yard line bunker. The one defensive player must zone up on this 50-yard line bunker and not allow his opponents to get into it. The team of 2 must coordinate a move by suppressing and containing the defensive player. The player providing cover has a job to make sure that it is safe for his teammate to make the move, and then let his teammate know that it is time to make the move. This is a fast drill and can be made more complex by adding more bunkers and players.
Once you understand the concept of coordinated movement, it'll become very easy to apply it to an actual game situation.
Closing a game really comes down to field awareness.
All fields are different and they all have different challenges.
Most fields allow 2 back guys the ability to cross up and hold you off by covering zones to protect each other.
We'll run 2-on-3 drills to keep them fast. 2 guys cross up and hold defensively, while 3 guys attack offensively with a time limit of 2 minutes. The rule is you better not be alive on the attack side when your 2 minutes are up, or it's a draw. In other words, win or die trying.
On the offensive side, 2 of your teammates need to work together on one of the opposing team's back players. It's important for the 3rd player on the offensive side to keep the 2nd defending back player preoccupied. Don't allow him to wrap and disrupt the 2-on-1 battle, because it will usually take a pretty ballsy in the open move to close the game or open it up. There is the time limit to think about, so make it happen.
You'll be tempted to put your back players in these holding positions for this drill. Switch it up on an equal rotation. More often than not, your back guys are the ones closing the games and breaking down the zones. So give them a chance to get in the mix. The more you run these types of drills, the more you'll understand your teammates and your own abilities.
Now that you've learned how to walk the field and set up a game plan, let's go into more detail about what you need to do as a player in a specific position from start to finish.
What people don't realize is most back players' work is done before the game even starts. Most of this revolves around walking the field.
There are several things to consider while orchestrating a back player breakout. The first would be selecting a field position. The second would be identifying any possible sweet spotting lanes. The third would be to decide when and if it is possible to delay to your back player spot after sweet spotting. And the fourth is vision.
Throughout the field walking process, you will have to determine the positions that your opponents will likely take. With this information, it will be very clear which of your opponent's positions you will need to focus your sweet spotting efforts on. Remember, you will not always be sweet spotting a front guy. You might be shooting back at your opponent's sweet spotters to help your front players obtain an important front bunker.
Now with sweet spotting, there's some easy rules to follow. Once you've identified the lane you're going to shoot your opponent from, it's best to locate one specific area of the lane to shoot at. That's why it's called sweet spotting. While your natural instinct is to follow someone with your gun, you need to train yourself to leave your gun on that lane and let your opponent run through your sweet spot. Keep in mind the distance between you and your sweet spot. You don't want to end up shooting too high or too low. Also, it's very important to make sure you shoot far enough away from your opponent's intended position. The reason for this is many times your opponent will be sliding into his position. You want to catch them while they are still in an upright position, which is easier to hit.
You can shoot your gun as you run to your outside bunker, but effective sweet spotting requires you to delay to your outside spot. By this time, your opponents are busy sliding into their respective positions, and you should be able to make a safe run to your outside bunker. However, this is not always the case, and it may be difficult to get out to your intended bunker after sweet spotting. Be flexible and make the best of it.
Not all fields will allow back players to sweet spot. In many cases, you will be required to run as fast as a front player to reach your outside corner bunker. Another possible situation is your front players will need you to control the tapes as soon as possible, so your job is to get out to your bunker as fast as possible. This will leave the sweet spotting job up to your mid players.
What we consider the most important part of a back player's breakout is vision. That sounds simple, but it can be extremely difficult to concentrate on sweet spotting, watching where exactly other opponents go, and trying not to get hit by your opponent's sweet spotters, all at the same time. But some of the most valuable information you can get off the break is exactly where your opponents are, and relay that information to the rest of your team as quickly as possible. It seems like a lot, but with enough practice, you'll get it.
Hi, my name's Kevin Brehauer, and I'm with Team Dynasty, and I'm going to walk you through a back guy spot. Well, first off, you have to pretty much decide what is the most important spot that you could shoot on the field off the break. Now on this field, the snake's guy is the most important spot because he can get behind your own guys. So what you want to do is find a spot near the flag station where you can shoot that guy best from. A lot of times you want to get your gun up as fast as possible. So what I would do is I'd take about a half step out and start shooting right away. A lot of people shoot too close to the bunker that they're actually aiming for, and this hurts you a lot because it's real hard to catch people that are sliding into bunkers. So what you want to do is shoot about 5 or 10 feet in front of the bunker they're running to. So aim low, because a lot of people when they're running are a lot lower than when they're standing, so people oftentimes aim too high. From here, I have to figure out the best place to protect my front guy. For example, in this game plan, we're going to send Angel to the snake. So I need to figure out where I need to move to so I can cut that zone off better. So I'm not really worried about shooting anyone out because that's not really my job. But my job is to protect all those front players. I know that to get to the snake, the most likely bunker he's going to get to it from is that can. And from that can, you can see I don't even need to shoot at the edge of the snake. I'd wrap farther around and shoot at the edge of the can so he can't come. And you know, I would have to probably be battling with the back right guy and that can, but between my back right guy and my can, I shouldn't have any problem with keeping that can contained. After my second guy moves out of the can into the snake, I would move into the can because it's better to protect the snake from. So see, from the can, you're just like another 15 or 20 feet closer to it, and your angle to the snake is much wider. You can see how much wider it got, and that little brick isn't cutting any of it out. Now, if I have both my guys in the snake and they're still alive and doing fine, and I still have my back right guy, I'd probably want to go to the best spot to cut the snake off even better. And on this field, I would probably go right into the X. Like we talked about how getting closer to things makes it easier to cut them off. Now it's practically, if I miss the guy going to the snake now, like I should basically be fired. So it's pretty much my job from here just to make sure no one goes anywhere. What's also important from a back guy's spot is you pretty much have to walk every bunker. Not like front guys that only really need to walk the middle and front bunkers, because oftentimes you lose guys from certain sides and then you're the one that has to fill that way. So it's important to at least walk everything a little bit, even, you know, just in case game plans go wrong.
How you doing? I'm Oliver Lang from Team Dynasty, and I'm here to explain to you the role of being a mid-front player. It's probably one of the most important roles on the field. You have to be aware of exactly what's going on at all times throughout the whole entire game. You know, you really have to walk every spot on the field because you need to know at every spot, any angle, because you might have to fill that spot at any time in the game. So you know, you really have to do a good job of walking the field, and it's probably one of the funnest roles you could have, you know, because you're very versatile and you get to play everywhere, you get to try different things, and you know, I have a lot of fun doing it. So I'm gonna walk you through the breakout. You know, usually you always want to have your gun up because you know, in paintball, how are you gonna shoot the guy if you don't have your gun up? A lot of people, you know, they run to their spot, you know, their bunker with their gun down, their head down, just memorizing where to go in the straight line, you know. You don't do that. You want to have your gun up shooting, okay, just your gun up at any point, ready to shoot, you know. Because if the guy sees you going to a spot and you're running, if you got your head down, your gun down, you know, he's going to be like, oh, that's an easy shot. Boom, it takes it, you know. But even if you just pull your gun up and shoot a couple shots at him, it's going to come back, mess him up a little bit, you know. Maybe you shoot him, you know, it's going to get you to your spot. You know, off the break, you always want to shoot. You always want to take the first couple shots right there at the starting gate because, you know, your first shots might just get them. So if you come here, you know, the X is a very, very key bunker because you're able to play off your bunker so far because the X is blocking you out so much, you know. Now say if I was going to this little chubby bunker off the break, I could come here, shoot into the back center, you know, put the guy's gun in, okay, and then come out, you know, switching hands, shooting back into the back center, or I could shoot towards the snake. You know, you always want to be shooting and looking at the guys that are shooting at you. So, you know, then you get into this spot, you know, you figure out, you know, if everybody made it to their spots, you know, you look around, you find if you get a G or two, or, you know, if you guys lost anybody, and, you know, you start playing games, start watching your zones, you know, figuring out, obviously the snake is one of the most important bunkers also on the field because if the guy gets in it, he can go all the way down and shoot all your guys. So you want to keep him out of the snake and you want to get in the snake and control it as much as possible. And it's always good to double up the snake because, you know, you get one person in there, another guy gets in there, and he shoots down the tape, and the other guy shoots inside. The way I'd get into the snake from here is I'd come down low, right here. I'd be watching my zone, you know, battling with my mirror. I don't really like to gun battle that much because, you know, it's a 50-50 chance that they're going to get you or you're going to get them. You know, I'd rather stay alive and get into that snake and go down the whole thing than shoot 3 or 4 guys. You know, there's no point of just, you know, sitting here trying to shoot this guy, worry about it. Let that guy do that. You know, when he starts wrapping around, watch his streams, maybe you put him in, you come up, look into the center, look into the X, you know, try and figure out your whole surroundings. You kind of have to know, you know, where everybody is on the field before you do it. So it's going to take a minute, but, you know, you pop up, look once or twice, and then you go. All right? It's a lot of people think that when they slide into the bunker, they have to go right into it. You know, that's not necessarily true. You can come out, you know, slide out a little bit wider. This is a closer range from there to here as it is from there to there. So, you know, you can come back and slide in right here. Right here, you're blocked out by the back guy, and you're blocked out by the back left guy as well. Scoot into your bunker. When people play snakes, you know, they come to this part and they're like, okay, I can shoot that guy from here, you know. But in actuality, if you go to the other side, you can shoot that guy for sure 100%. You know, you're gonna have his whole back instead of just having, you know, the flap of his butt pack or the, you know, his elbow or something like that. So instead of just coming here and stopping and looking, I'd say just go all the way down it. You know, if the coast is clear on this side, and that's why I'm saying it's good about having a secondary guy in here because he can shoot down the tape while you move, or vice versa, you shoot down the tape while he moves. All right, so you go all the way down it, you know. Yeah, from here I can shoot that guy, you know, maybe I can shoot that guy in the corner, you know, maybe if there's a guy in the box, maybe I can shoot him his foot. But if you keep going, and you keep going, there's no way that you're gonna miss them now, you know? Now you've got their whole back, you've got everything, you know? And they're not even expecting you at all. They think you're back there still, you know? So all their guns are posted up right there. So, you know, why would you stop there and try and gunfight, maybe with the possibility of getting shot, when you could just come right here and them thinking that you're, you know, back there still, and you pop and you shoot them in the face or the back or whatever, you know? And that's the best case. You shoot all those guys and, you know, there's only one guy left in this corner. You've got 3 or 4 guys left on your team. There's no way you should really lose the game. I always think about it like this, you know? I'd rather go bunker somebody than get bunkered, you know? So it's a lot more fun and, you know, it's the glory of it all. So go take that guy down, you know? Don't sit there and wait for him because you never know. If you sit here and you post up on this guy, you know, and even if you have 3 guys alive, anything can happen in paintball, you know? Anybody can get shot any given time. You can bounce off the net. hit a squirrel and hit you in the goggles. You never know. So go and get that guy, get him off the field. But you want to do it in a smart manner. You don't want to just run at him blindly, You have your gun up, ready. These are like running and shooting drills that you can learn and do. Have your gun up, and if he comes at it all, you'll just trade with him at least, But it's better to get that guy off the field and make sure that you've won the game instead of this guy maybe pulling out a 3-on-1 or a 4-on-1, which has been known to happen. So take him down, let your buddy get the flag, hang it, and win the game.
For the front player, the first 15 seconds is quite possibly more important than the rest of the game.
This is where the front player has a chance to drastically change the outcome of the game.
The front players that cause the most damage in the beginning of the game usually give their team a dramatic advantage. Your field walk will determine which front bunkers are going to be the most effective and beneficial for your team. Now that you and your team have identified the key front spots on the field, you have to determine how much you are willing to risk to take control of these positions. Sometimes it is imperative that you control them from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. Other times you can work your way into these spots with a secondary move soon after the start of the game. Usually what you are planning on doing is fairly close to what your opponents are going to do, so use your own game plan to help predict your opponent's movement. What would you do to counter your own plan? This is the mindset that you need to be in. It will also open you up to potential flaws in your own game plan.
There are 4 ways to take a front spot within the first 15 seconds of the game.
The easiest and most widely used method of obtaining a front bunker is to run straight for them as fast as you can, hoping that you don't get hit. If you determine before the game it's a spot that is too important not to have, then it is worth the risk of taking it off the break. When running for a spot off the break, you must know when and where to dive. This can make all the difference. You will want to dive at the earliest possible spot where you will be safe. A lot of times this means diving 5, even 10 feet in front of a spot. It is always best to run with your head up, watching where the streams of paint are coming in at you. Now you can vary the pace of your run in order to go around these deadly streams.
Running a different lane can be very effective because you'll be in a different place than your opponent is expecting you to be in. Often when running a different lane, you can narrow your visibility greatly by using bunkers to block yourself out. If your opponent doesn't think that you're running in a specific spot, they usually turn their markers looking for a different shot. This gives you a great opportunity to slide in clean and sometimes undetected. Most of the time, this technique is only useful when the field design allows it. Recognizing where your opponents are going to position their shooters is very important. This will help you determine the path of least resistance.
Oftentimes, a quick secondary is a great way to make a front spot, without the risk involved with running there off the break. This is a method generally used when there are very good back spots for your opponent's shooters. The other advantage to this is that oftentimes you are able to use your marker to shoot off the break, increasing your team's chances of an early elimination. First, figure out your primary position, which is usually midfield, but may include shooting from the flag station off the break. As soon as your opponents are diving in, you launch for your secondary front spot, and by the time they are set up to shoot you, it's too late.
This last technique is something we like to call a man protect.
This is the most technical of all methods because it requires your teammates in a coordinated effort to get you into an important front spot. Now set up your team's breakout so that your shooters shoot directly back at your opponent's shooters, usually in the flag station. Your teammates will either shoot out your opponent's shooters, which will guarantee you the spot, or at the very least it will distract them long enough for you to get into the spot safely. This has to be carefully planned because you are using one of your teammates' markers that could be used effectively elsewhere. Oftentimes you are giving up one side of the field to get a specific spot on the other. Field design often dictates whether or not this method will work for you.
With practice, these techniques can be used to break the game open within the first 15 seconds.
Hi, I'm Alex Frazier from Team Dynasty. I'm going to walk you through the front center of this field and talk about what I would do in certain situations. First, one thing I would want to make sure I had straight before I broke out was which side of the flag station I wanted to come out. In this situation, I'm going to come out the right because I have better vision on the right side of the field, and also that's who I want to look for off the break is the guy running into the snake, because that's probably the most important bunker on the field. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step out with my head and gun up, looking both ways, shooting the lane for the snake in the beginning. My eyes will be on the center back guys. I'm going to be looking for them stepping out to the sides and shooting in for me. If they do not do that, then I will stay up, standing all the way to my front spot in the middle of the field, shooting and looking both ways. If they do step out and shoot for me and I see lanes of paint coming in, then I'll probably get on the ground laying down here, I can crawl in pretty safely without getting shot by that back guy who's edging on the outside. So depending on the situation, on what I see the other team doing, I'll adjust my game plan. Having the ability to plan and see what you're going to do in certain situations is very important. Once I get to my bunker, I'm going to look at this zone over here. I would, if that little cube wasn't there, look at the snake zone, because this is a really good spot to watch the snake if that little bunker wasn't there. But as you can see, if I'm here trying to watch a guy running into the snake, it's almost impossible for me to shoot him because that thing's blocking me out. That job would be allocated to either the back center guy or this guy in the hamburger here to watch the snake. So I know that's probably not going to be my job. So I'm going to come right here and look at this zone. First, I'm going to see if they run to this 50 off the break. If they do, I'm going to relay it to all my teammates so they know and stay on him. But chances are he'll get shot off the break or he won't go there. So what I'm going to do is come here and start shooting this lane, dominating the back guy. I'll probably see the back guy's loader because he's going to be battling with his mirror down the tape, and I could probably see him. The only chance he'll have on shooting at me is wrapping all the way around, which would expose him to numerous other guys. So basically my job is right now is to control this lane. I'm going to do my best to assist my teammate in this tombstone to get into the 50 over here. Once he does that, my job in the game is to protect him. I know I'm a front guy. I know I want to go get kills and eliminations down the field, but my job is to protect my player. Even though you want to be a superstar and get up the field, that's not how you win paintball games. You got to have guys that are team players and have to know what it's going to take to win that game. So obviously I'll be here. We're moving down the field. I'm going to get up, check off this guy over here, probably suppressing fire, and move up to the X. Once I get here, in a certain scenario, say we have a kill over here or a kill over here, I can start wrapping around and getting kills on this side of the field. Maybe I have a chance to make a move up the center and bunker somebody, maybe bunker that guy over there. I can block out the back right guy. That'd be a good move to come over here and shoot this guy, maybe that guy. You could go right up the center and shoot that guy. I could also look at coming inside this way. But then again, if I do this, I'm taking my mind off of my job. I got to remember my job is to protect this zone, lock down this zone over here. So if I do this, it has to be very quick. Or I can, if I want to start playing this side of the field, I can look behind me and say, Skinny Kevin, I need you to watch the left zone. And he'll pick up on that. Then I'll know I'll be free to go and leave my job and go do something else. Maybe even come over to this side, slide into this bunker. Could maybe go take a guy out of the snake. A lot of players only walk to their first spots and maybe their second spots, like what I'm doing, but it's very good to know what you're going to do in a scenario at the very end of the game, even walk the opposing team's side of the field, which a lot of people don't do that. So chances are I might come into here, into the backside of this bunker. I can barely see that back right guy, so I could use this bunker right here to my advantage. I could even play off it, not exposed to the back right guy. I could come all the way out here and probably try to shoot him in the loader. Like this. It's kind of sketchy, but I can use this stuff to my advantage. I'd probably have to stay real low in case the back center guy wraps around on me. Once I shoot him or somebody shoots him, the next move is probably across to here. Say there's two more guys. This is a pretty easy move because I can get down low. That guy won't even see me. And I could probably see this guy's gun. I could probably shoot him in the gun before I even move. Move across to here. This is close enough range to where I could probably shoot either one of these guys in the loader, then bunker the last guy. That's how I do it.
We revealed our secrets and our techniques. Now you have all the tools to become the best paintball player you can be. So keep practicing, good luck, and thanks a lot for watching.